I've never been scared of telling the truth, and I'm not going to be now. This Trey Reed situation stinks of racial discrimination, disparity, whatever the fuck you want to say in English language. Because I don't need even the one autopsy to make me believe that he did not suspend himself down off the motherfucking tree, or autopsy number 2 that now tells the world that he was hit, punched, there was blunt force trauma, that he was manually strangled, lifted up to the tree, and then suspended down. He didn't jump down himself. And if this was 2 white kids that were found hanging off the tree, the entire United States of America would be looking, hunting for the murderer. But it is black children, black young men, and there's nobody looking. Oh, we'll find him someday with the DNA. We're looking. You're not fucking looking. The police aren't looking. They probably were fighting to even get this fucking second autopsy done. And I can't even imagine what the family's going through. And I'm so fucking sick and tired that one life matters because they're Caucasian and another life doesn't matter because they're a different color. What the fuck?
You said hateful, sad case of some people. I'm trying to figure out how the hell do I see crickets on the internet? Ain't nobody gonna call it what it is. Ain't nobody gonna say what it is. You mean to tell me 21-year-old Trey Reed was found hanging at Delta State University? First off, the first thing that they said was there was no foul play.
Honestly, I did not think I would be reacting to this today. I didn't think I had to, because I thought that people would have enough sense to go research things out.
Stood up there and said, no violence happened because of my husband's death.
It's a heavy heart filming this particular video. I am here to first of all send my condolences messages to Black Americans, because when I actually saw their reaction, their painful, bitter reaction, I know where the pains is actually coming from, especially coming from a young man that is smart, that was sent to school just for educational purposes, just because he want to achieve a certificate, and at the end of the day, these people, these palm-colored people, have to open their mouths to say that someone that look like me can actually commit or unalive himself. It's painful. It's honestly painful. Anyways, welcome to the channel. My name is Sonia. Let me show you guys Americans' painful reaction to the second autopsy result that is being conducted, because the moment a lot of Americans are already speculating that the first autopsy result, something actually went wrong. Someone actually paid for a second autopsy result to be conducted. And what is found is quite shocking. But let's get right into this video. Credit belongs to original creators of every clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And with that being said, let's get right into it.
So there's been an update on Trey Reed, the black man who was found hanging from a tree at Delta State University in Cleveland, Mississippi. Keep in mind that an autopsy was done by the county and his death was ruled a suicide. However, there was a second private autopsy done, which was paid for by Colin Kaepernick, and these are the updates we have now. According to reporting from the Chicago Crusader, a second autopsy reportedly shows blunt force trauma to the back of Trey Reed's head that was not reported in the first autopsy done by the county. Trey was found partially hanging from a belt that wasn't his. It was 3 sizes too big, with no marks or injuries on his neck consistent with hanging. Delta State University officials lied to his mother, initially telling her that he died in his dorm, and they also misrepresented what clothes he was wearing when he was found. The spot where Trey was discovered is well known for being one of the only areas on campus without cameras. Trey's phone was not returned to his family as evidence, yet its GPS showed it was moving. A suspicious text that read, "The buckle broke," was sent from his phone, raising questions about whether it was staged. And days before his death, Trey had reportedly gotten into an altercation with a group of white students after defending a black classmate who was attacked online for criticizing Charlie Kirk. Scream if any of this information is surprising. Exactly. You see how it's as quiet as a J-Lo concert in here? I said it before and I will continue to say it. Black men do not hang themselves from trees. Hope this helps. Peace and love. Talk to you later.
Trey Reed's second autopsy came back, and they ass in trouble. Delta State University is in trouble. I told y'all that they were gonna lie. I told y'all they were trying to cover that shit up. Look at this shit. Blunt force trauma to the back of the head. Hear me out. Blunt force trauma to the back of the head. Y'all some pussies. Y'all had to wait till that man back would turn just to knock him out, just to get him in the tree. And I told y'all, people from Mississippi don't unalive themselves by hanging themselves. What really pissed me off that it was black men in my inbox telling me that, oh, you act like black men don't hang themselves. They don't. They don't. Where you from? Another thing, for the people that telling me to shut up and stop posting the family, me and Trey Reed mama already talked. We talked like 2 weeks ago. She had already hit me up and was thanking me. I'm not even gonna show y'all the message, but I am gonna say this. She said that she's not scared. She's not running. They doing everything in this world to break that woman. At least y'all can do is support her. Because remember, Delta State University, they lied to this lady. In the first hour of them finding Trey Reed in a tree, they had already said he did it himself. It was a suicide. I told y'all that was a lie. And I keep getting this message right here. The chief of police is black. The coroners, they black. The DA is black. Why would they cover everything up? Shit, that's what we trying to find out. That's what we trying to find out. Why would they cover it up? Guess it's better than mine. Matter of fact, ask Delta State why they covering it up. Ask Delta State how much money they paid them to try to cover it up. The thing is that Delta State University didn't know that they were going to do a second autopsy. Because let's just be honest, how did you miss the blunt force trauma on the first autopsy? How did you miss that? Ain't no way y'all missed that. Money. Let me just say this as well. They know exactly who did that to Trey Reed. They know exactly how many it was. They even know the names who did it. Guess what? They gonna hide that too. You really think them white folks and let their kids be all over the news, they gonna fuck their whole family history up? That shit ain't finna happen. Them white folks finna pay how much money they can pay to save their kids' face. Like I told y'all, all this shit is about money, saving money, and saving their family face. Now, the way they did Trey Reed was probably like a 2 or 3 minute process. It hit him back of the head, knocked him unconscious. It had to been like 3 or 4 people just to pull this shit off. Y'all gotta remember, that rope was already tied and ready to go. But once they knocked him out, only thing they had to do was put the rope around him and just and go. That's a 2 or 3 minute process with 3 or 4 dudes involved. It happened that fast. Now, all the students that's at Delta State University, y'all better listen up and listen up closely. Them kids that did that to Trey Reed, they gonna get away scot-free. One of y'all gonna be next. One of y'all gonna be next, because guess what? If they get away now, they gonna feel like they can keep getting away with the shit. Walk around in groups if you have to. Use air tags. If you walk by yourself, be on the phone with somebody that can protect you, that's close by to you. Like I said before, stop the partying down there. Right now, shit finna get hot for Delta State. Shit finna get hot for Delta State University right now. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna pay attention and see what Delta State University got to say about all this shit that's going on and why they lied. And we're gonna get to the bottom of this shit.
Well, we finally got that second autopsy for Trey Reed, and it was exactly what I expected. First things first, there was patterns and sign that shows he was being strangled with a belt that wasn't his because it was 3 times his size. Second of all, there were multiple blunt forces to the back of his head, which means he was in conflict with other individuals. Third, where Trey Reed was first discovered, that spot is well known for being no cameras on campus, which means this attack was planned out accordingly. Before, Trey Reed's phone was not returned to his family, yet the GPS was also moving. Which brings me to number 5. Suspicious text was sent saying the buckle broke, which makes me curious if the belt they were talking about was the one they used on Trey Reed. And here is the last one, and this was the nail on the coffin. Just days before Trey Reed's death, he got into an altercation with a group of white guys for defending a black student who made some comments about Charlie Kirk's death on the internet. Repeat what I just said, Charlie Kirk. I knew when Charlie Kirk passed away that these white supremacists, these racists, was going to be emboldened by his death, by his words, and they were going to take their anger out on black people. The fact that none of this is surprising to me is absolutely saddening and sickening at the same time. But additionally, now that we know the police department was involved and they covered it up, he ruled it as a self-unalive as quickly as they possibly can to avoid any problem. Screw suing them. They're not going to learn their lesson that way. They must be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law and be placed behind bars. Every single one of them.
I knew it was something fishy from the jump. The same way that y'all was crashing out to defend Nicki Minaj and all this other shit. I want that same energy here though. Y'all not concerned? So come to find out, if you haven't already heard, Colin Kaepernick's foundation did a second autopsy, and come to find out, blunt force trauma to the head before he was hanged. So class, tell me, does this come off as a case of suicide to you guys? I think the fuck not. And I'm gonna be 1000% honest. While everybody wants to talk about Diddy, I want to talk about this. That's what I want to talk about. Like, this is scary as hell. This really scares me because they really tried to play with somebody's life. They tried to say that this boy committed suicide and he did not. And we all peeped it from jump. But imagine nobody had questioned this. Nobody did a second autopsy. I'm literally going to tell my loved ones, my friends, my family, if something happens to me, I did not do it to myself. Don't let anybody tell you after I go that I took my own life. No. And it irritates the fuck out of me that I even got to do that or say that in 2025. You know what? Let me get off before I start crashing out.
What's up, family? Trey Reed, a 21-year-old black student at Delta State University in Cleveland, Mississippi, was found hanging from a tree on campus. Local authorities, including the medical examiner, was quick, I mean super quick, to rule his death a suicide. But the family was not buying it. With the help of Colin Kaepernick and his organization, Know Your Rights Camp Autopsy Initiative, I broke the news earlier today with Krista Muhammad of the New Black Panther Party on my Willie D Live channel that the autopsy revealed Trey had a fractured skull in the back of his head. He had contusions. He had bruises on his back and buttocks, meaning that they stomped him, fam. They didn't just bust him in the back of the head and kill him. They stomped him. Now, you got a lot of uncivilized mutts out there who are mad at Colin Kaepernick, even more mad at him because they were mad at him when they first heard the news announced that he would pay for the autopsy. They were saying things like, because the investigation, the official investigation, had already ruled the death a suicide, that Colin Kaepernick should just leave it alone. The critics argued that Colin inserted himself into the case for publicity, suggesting that his involvement was an inflammatory move that cast undue suspicion on an official ruling. Now, why would we have undue suspicion on an official ruling? I mean, our elected officials and law enforcement and all these people, they're so honest. Why would anybody ever doubt them? Yeah, fam. Some of them accuse Colin Kaepernick of paying for the autopsy to stay relevant. It's Colin Kaepernick. He's in the history books. He's going to always be relevant, whether you like it or not, you uncivilized mutts. Yeah. See, what they're really mad about, fam, is that they couldn't just sweep that under the rug. Like, yeah, kill another black, hang another black, just sweep it under the rug. What are you poking around for, man? Leave us alone. Go back to the big city. Yeah. They also said that he was just trying to create controversy. Also, they said that he was fueling racial tensions. The critics argued that Colin Kaepernick's high-profile involvement and the history of racial violence in Mississippi would unnecessarily stoke racial tensions by suggesting a cover-up where authorities found no evidence of foul play. If Mississippi is indeed...
You said hateful, sad case of some people. I'm trying to figure out how the hell do I see crickets on the internet? Ain't nobody gonna call it what it is. Ain't nobody gonna say what it is. You mean to tell me 21-year-old Trey Reed was found hanging at Delta State University? First off, the first thing that they said was there was no foul play. Immediately, we had to ask questions. They went to do an autopsy. Keep in mind, we still don't got no footage from the school. So Delta State University, I'm on your ass. Went and did the autopsy and said that it was suicide, no foul play. They was quick to say. But what they did not expect was Colin Kaepernick. They wasn't expect nobody to stand together for this situation. They just thought they could sweep it under the rug. They thought we was gonna forget. But I'm looking at social media right now, I'm like, damn, it looked like we did. Trey Reed was an example of what they can do. Trey Reed was an example of what they think they can do. Trey Reed was an example to show y'all ain't gonna speak up. Colin Kaepernick did. And for some time, it looked like social media and everybody else did too. But y'all mean to tell me no news coverage is covering the details right now? About what's happening right now? The fact that they lied completely to the parents? The fact that they lied to the entire world? It took Colin Kaepernick to do what their job was to do. And here's the update.
Autopsy is saying this man had a fractured skull from the back of his head, had contusions and bruises, his back and his buttocks. Wasn't suicide, this was a brutal beatdown. Notice the media is silent. Notice ain't nobody talking about this. Brutally beating him. I mean, based on what they saying that happened and where the bruises are, that's the only thing you can think. And they hung him. They hung a 21-year-old black boy and ruled it a suicide. Now social media is mad at Colin Kaepernick because he should have just let it rest. Every time I see something happen, they say, oh, we're too sensitive. I'm gonna tell you the truth. The more you keep censoring yourself, is the more it's gonna keep happening. Y'all telling me y'all trying to hold Colin Kaepernick accountable for finding out the truth because everybody want to talk about the truth until they hear the truth. Everybody want to know the details until they find the details. Every news coverage is quick to put out a black man got hung. But every news coverage ain't covering this story. All of a sudden, the focus is on Diddy. Trying to leave it alone. Y'all keep saying I yell too much. But where the hell is the outrage? People are literally pissed off about Cardi B situation. Pissed off about Starbucks closing. Pissed off that their electric bill went up. But a black man gets hung and nobody got nothing to say. DHS, Delta State University, all the cops that was involved in this case, everybody needs to be held accountable because there's no way y'all didn't know. We still don't got no names, no proof, no camera footage, nothing. But I told you, when the truth comes out, because it always does, because God don't play about his people. Just wonder how many people gonna share this message. Because y'all are damn sure share some drama. Trey Reed did not unalive himself. Trey Reed has no camera footage. Trey Reed has no justice. Trey Reed family was lied to. If y'all think we gonna let up on this shit, y'all sadly mistaken. Because if they can do that to Trey Reed, they made an example that they can do it to anybody. It don't matter if you white, black, brown, green, orange, it don't matter. They can spin a narrative however they like it. But when the truth comes out, they silence it. And if nobody told you, remember Chemo told you, stay motivated. And if we don't choose to come together, it would be controlling our destiny and we would not get an option. And I ain't just talking about black people. I'm talking about all of us.
The independent autopsy results for Trey Reed has been leaked. Now, if you don't know who Trey Reed is, he was a black man that was found hanging from a tree in the middle of Delta State University. Now, the initial police report completely ruled out foul play and ultimately determined to be a self-inflicted death, which is interesting because these new reports are alleging that Trayvon Reed suffered blunt force trauma to the back of his head. Something's not adding up. Not to mention that we're hearing that Trey Reed, prior to his death, allegedly engaged in online arguments with white members of his university in defense of a black woman speaking ill of Charlie Kirk. Why do they refuse to review the camera footage leading up to the place where he was found? Why did they fail to state that there was blunt force trauma to the back of his head? Why did they initially say that he was found in his dorm and then switch and said he was found outside? Why were the police so quick to rule this as a suicide when copious amounts of information is still unknown? Short answer, the police are hiding something, and it's up to us to support the family in digging up what really happened. Now, I'll be leaving their GoFundMe in the comments, but other than that, do not stop talking about Trey Reed. Like, comment, share on any post you see. Make your own post in your own videos, because we cannot allow this to fade from the public eye. The power is in our hands. Now we need to use it.
So the second and independent autopsy just came back on Trey Reed, and just like everyone said, blunt force trauma to the back of the head. He did not kill himself. Black people just don't jump on trees and say, let's hang ourselves. This was a modern day 2025 lynching. Mississippi, Delta State University. So now let's find the motherfuckers that did it. And let's start looking at the school who tried to cover this shit up already. Okay?
You know, that heifer stood up there and said, no violence happened because of my husband's death. Heifer, Huntington Beach, California, white supremacists decided to take to the streets because they were angry that the white supremacists who murdered that white supremacist hadn't come to the front yet. And what did they do? They attacked a black man. Trey Reed's little sister made comments about that white supremacist who was murdered by another white supremacist and was attacked at school by 4 more white supremacists, and her brother had to defend her. And then those very white supremacists went and not only caused blunt force trauma to the back of his head, but they literally stomped the boy out because the bruises up and down the back of his body only is what it is that they forgot to mention in the autopsy, the first one. But then Colin Kaepernick did a second autopsy, and it came out that he was not only stomped out, but strangled and then hung. So he was dead when they hung him. But they knew what they were doing clearly because they wanted to make an example of him because he had backed them all down. 4 of them, by the way, backed them down. My bigger question about this whole situation, though, the big question, the elephant in the room. How much did they pay your black ass to stand up there and lie like that? How much did they pay your black ass to stand up there and lie and say that there was nothing going on and that there was no foul play? He hung himself. And even bigger question is, what white supremacist ass families is it that you're trying to protect? How much did they pay you to protect their name and let the kids get away with it? How many millions of dollars was it? Was it like a governor's child, or is it an administrator's child? Like, whose children are you protecting? I'm just curious. I don't know. Anybody else got them kind of questions? Because I sure do have some questions. Oh, man, I need to stop thinking.
The coroner needs to be investigated. The police who try to rush and close this case and call it a suicide needs to be investigated. This family has been failed on every level. Now the second autopsy has came in, paid for by Colin Kaepernick. The DSU student had blood force trauma to the back of his head. They beat this young man, and now they're trying to rule it as a suicide. This is just modern day lynching packed up as suicide now. The truth about what happened to Trey Reed cannot be buried. It cannot be covered up by officials and not by the police. That town is trying to cover it up. Justice for Trey Reed.
Honestly, I did not think I would be reacting to this today. I didn't think I had to, because I thought that people would have enough sense to go research things out for themselves, but obviously they don't. So now we're back here revisiting this subject because they won't leave this family alone. It's ridiculous, and it's becoming pathetic at this time, because these people are salivating at anybody that will feed them a nursery rhyme of white supremacy in order to pacify their victimhood. That's what this is all about. So much so that they will just take anybody's word. Now they saying that he had blood force trauma, but nobody, Ben Crump, no news outlet, nobody has came out with any type of report or media press release in order to justify what they're saying here. They're just simply going off of some activist post that was on Facebook that attached a GoFundMe account created by the mother. And we're going to get into the mother. And that activist got his information from a washed up rapper. I'm in Houston, so I know about the Ghetto Boys really deep. And you was the one that was the irrelevant one in the group. Everybody knew Bushwick and Scarface, which I still jam Scarface in my gym playlist to this day. But he was the one to put this information out there first on his YouTube channel. And then when people was asking about, well, what sources do you have? He said that he was the source. So him and some new Black Panther activist is always an activist involved in the grift and the scam. Now, last time I checked, the next of kin was the grandfather that was listed, not even the mother. So they're thinking because they spoke to the mother that was enough to go off of, and she don't even have the report. From what I'm looking at, this seems like this is some family funeral mess, and it's about money. That's what it's about. Because he spent majority of his show campaigning and raising funds on GoFundMe. That's what he did. They didn't show any reports, nothing. No viable resources not from Ben Crump, not from the statement from the police, not the statement from the independent autopsy, none. In fact, the grandmother is saying that the second autopsy has not been completed. And if you hear anybody stating that it was, then it is not true. Why? Because I believe the grandmother and the grandfather was the one that was raising this young man. I do not believe that the mother was involved in raising her son. I believe that they had guardianship because they're the ones that's listed as next to kin. Because if the mother had the information, instead of you texting and calling, then you would put the information out there. I know that you're grieving and everything, but this is the truth. I'm sorry. You do have a lot of mothers that can be deadbeat as well. It's just facts. So there seems like there is a beef, because I went through the grandmother's page and all of the people that had all of the beautiful funeral. They had photos and everything. Gorgeous. But these people are asking people to leave them alone. Let them deal with these things in private. And when they get ready to release whatever the information is, whatever the results of it is, they will let you know. They will put it out there. But y'all are running off of some activists, especially Willie D, which y'all don't know nothing about Willie D, because Willie D got busted here in Houston This was when he was about 44 years old. So he was grown, doing stuff like this for wire fraud, for selling iPhones. You can go look it up, or I'll put it here on the screen so you can read the case for yourself. A lot of these people, they find a new way to grift and scam people. They don't care nothing about y'all. All they care is about their pockets. These people are known grifters. Just like that one dude with Next Generation Action Network. We all know his business or whatever now because he mentioned it, dropped it, the name so much during the Carmelo Anthony case. Grifters. So this is my last time I'm going to talk about this. Y'all need to go and do your research for yourself. But it sounds to me that the family that was involved in Trey Reed's life, the next of kin, are asking y'all to leave them alone. If it does not come from them, then it is not true. And I trust the grandmother more than I would trust his own mother at this point.
You know, I really hate when I'm right. Like, I actually really despise being right, especially when it comes to things of these circumstances. So Trey Reed's second autopsy just came back. Thank you, Colin Kaepernick. The second autopsy is saying that there was blunt force to the back of his head, as well as not rope marks around his neck, but hand, as in someone manually strangled him, and then they put him up in the tree. Mind you, this is apparently the only place on campus that doesn't have direct line of cameras. Bullshit. And like I said, from the beginning, my very first viral video on this, either the school was involved, the police are involved, or both. Prove me wrong. Oh wait, they proved me right. Because let me remind you, the school told the family first that he was found dead in his dorm. That's a lie. They then county ruled it as a self-harm. That is a lie. The president should lose his job. In fact, I want everyone on that campus to lose their fucking job at this point. And everyone in that sheriff's office to lose their job at this point. In fact, I don't understand what more do we need to see before you realize our government is corrupt as fuck. Mind you, what just happened in Chicago? Where people are coming out of fucking Black Hawk helicopters. They're putting children in zip ties. Where's the due process? Right. Miss me with this fucking bullshit. White people, if you want to keep isolating yourself, do it. Do it. Leave us out of it. But be ready for when everyone else in the world rallies together. And when you're by your fucking self, look at the fucking mirror. Y'all want to keep playing pretend that it's not that actually bad. Meanwhile, guess who the suspects were? 4 of them. Because not even the day before, these 4 people were confronting his sister because of what she posted online about the fucking Kirk situation. And then look what happened. All of a sudden, Trey Reed is dead. So miss me, white people. Especially when I said it is always about race and I've been proved fucking right. I will reiterate. Black people never hang themselves in public. That is not a thing. It will never be a thing. I want the school's principal to be held accountable. I want the deputy's fucking head, and I want him out. I want them out. And the name of these 4 suspects needs to be released ASAP. The world should know who the fuck these 4 white people are. In the last month, shooting after shooting after shooting. Now they're hanging people, and it's all white people. And we should get all the fucking justice for Trey Reed.
Welcome back, guys, and thank you so much for watching. It will never be well with every single person that is involved in this case. To every single person that are actually closing down the truth just because it happens to someone that look like me. do what he knows how to do best. Because the two results, starting from the first autopsy to the second autopsy, it didn't really match. It didn't really go, it didn't go well at all. It did not. How can you say someone that looked like me, full life, blooded person, that was sent to school, would just wake up one morning and the only thing he can do is to find himself under a tree and being hanged? It's sad, and I'm sending my condolences messages to the family. And this should be like an eye-opening to a lot of my fellow blacks. This is an eye-opening that we have to stay guided. You have to trade with caution. We have to protect each other. Because you guys know that this thing happened just few days after CK was pupilled. And nobody pupilled him. It was his own people that pupilled him. His own people. It was never someone that looked like me. It was never people that looked like me. So, but they have done their worst. I have to take a pause because I really need to breathe. I have to take a pause because I really need to breathe. What have we done? Like what? Like, explain to me, what have we literally done to deserve this? Poor boy was sent to school. It is sad, honestly. It's painful that even when these people knew the truth, they are still covering up. They are still trying to lie. They are still trying to make it look like, Jesus. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.